It's Learn Ubuntu Live, presented by LearnUbuntu.org, with your host, Tom Judge. I'm Tom Judge. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here with all of you. And we're going to proceed now with our little presentation on using multimedia apps in Ubuntu Linux. Alrighty, so let us begin. There's many popular multimedia apps available for Ubuntu Linux. As far as imaging and presentation, now we're talking about stills, we have the Impress, which is the OpenOffice app that you see us using to make this presentation. We also have, now you're going to show these beautiful images that have to be created somewhere. To create an image, we have the Inkscape vector graphics, which you see there on the lower left-hand corner. We have the GNU manipulation program. An example of that is shown in the center of this illustration. We have the regular GNOME image viewer and the Shotwell photo manager, just for managing your pictures from your digital camera. And these are all the general applications you'll use as far as still images, still media. Now for music, there's more choices than you can shake a stick at. However, we're just going to narrow down the course here. I'm going to show you a few. In this last chapter on multimedia, we show you how to use the sound juicer, which is how to extract files from a CD that you legally own, and you can place them in your music library and listen to them on your PC or transfer them to your MP3 player. Okay. We also have a Brasero CD DVD creator, so you can arrange your songs that you legally own and burn your own CD. Pick whatever you want from any CD you own, make your own CD up with songs in the order you want to hear them. And we also have the Rhythmbox music player, which we show you how to use in this lab. Now there are other music players, they're all very good. We're not trying to say one is better than the other, but we're showing you the ones that come by default. When you install Ubuntu, you will have the Rhythmbox music player installed by default. I'm not saying the others are inferior, I'm just saying that this is what comes by default. You could absolutely experiment all you want on your own. There are many more music apps to choose from, like I just said, and all you have to do is go to the Ubuntu software application and you type in music and you will have an endless choice there of ones to choose from. Now as far as video player apps, again, we're showing you the ones that come by default, and we're going to mention some of the other ones here as well. The Totem movie player is installed by default. The VLC movie player is not, but I added that. The VLC player is very good for streaming video. I like that a lot, and I use that. And we also have the Banshee media player, which will play music and or video. Again, the choice is yours. This is all free open source. Feel free to use it. Now, as far as production, we have audio production tools. We have a very basic sound recorder, just to record a little voice piece or whatever if you want to grab some audio coming in your sound port. And we have the more advanced Audacity, which is actually a multi-track sound recorder. Now this is beyond the scope of this course. We wanted to mention them to you. In the next few things we're going to show you, we have a course we're hoping to get online next year called the Idiot's Guide to Multimedia Production using Ubuntu Studio, and in that course we will detail most of these audio and video production tools. Again, there's video production tools as well. You have the WinFF, which uses the FFmpeg. It gives you a GUI interface for transcoding video files. And you have the GTK Record by Desktop if you want to record something from your desktop. These are all tools that we use, by the way, in production here when we make videos and demo videos for our classes. So they all do work. We use them regularly. We have video editors. Again, this is material we'll cover in detail in the Vidiots Guide course. However, we want to mention it here so you can see how rich Ubuntu is in multimedia productions. We have the PITI video editor, which is usually installed by default. You can also add the Kino video editor. These are two very simple video editing programs. And the granddaddy of them all at the present time is the Cinelerra-cv, which is a professional nonlinear video editing system. I use that myself a lot. And anything you see video-wise on our website and in our courses most likely has been created at some point using the Cinelerra. And again, we cover this in the Vidiots Guide to Multimedia Production using Ubuntu Studio, the studio version of Ubuntu. I'm hoping to have that course ready next year. It's in the works, as so many things are. I have two hands. I do all I can as fast as I can. Now, getting back to this course and this chapter here, again, this is a newbie course, so we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. There's three basic lab exercises that we teach you in this chapter. The first is installing and tweaking the Sound Juicer audio CD extraction tool. This also shows you how to add some codecs, because you probably want to add some codecs. Codecs are the software that translate different formats of audio and video files for your machine. In the second lab, we're going to show you how to use the Rhythmbox music player to play the audio that we ripped from our CDs in the previous lab. In the third lab, we're just going to basically touch on how to download and play a video clip in the Totem movie player. And here we make a point of showing you you can have a vast difference in quality in video depending on what type of file and how it's transcoded. So again, this is just an introduction to multimedia in Ubuntu Linux. So in our first lab, we're going to extract some audio files with the Sound Juicer, okay? And we go through the setup. It may not be installed, so we're going to use the Ubuntu Software Center to install the Sound Juicer application. We show you how to do that in the lab. And then once it's installed, you may note that you do not have all the necessary codecs. We want to make MP3 files. MP3 is one of those sticky codecs that there's always a question as to who owns it and who has the right to use it. So that's why it's not installed by default in Ubuntu, because Ubuntu, the installation only wants to give you what is truly free and open source, and stuff that is questionable will be up to your discretion to add later on your own. Now, when you add codecs, there's three different types. Just like the old movie by Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And coincidentally, these codecs are also named the good, the bad, and the ugly, because some of them are well documented and some of them are not that well documented. They all work, they just happen to have been given these names over the years. So it's quite apropos. We use a little music clip to illustrate our point here from Mr. Eastwood's movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you like Westerns, it's a great movie to watch. But we have these codecs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, we are going to add, as we showed in that last slide, to go back here, we add the ugly multiverse. We use Synaptic Package Manager. You can search for just ugly, and it will come up with these gstreamer plugins. Gstreamer is a free open source application that is used at the base of a lot of media applications in Ubuntu. And these are the codecs arranged in these different groups. So once we add that in to our system using Synaptic, we then notice that we have MP3 as a choice in our Sound Juicer application. Once you add a codec to your system, that codec set is available to all the applications that happen to need that codec. So it's really a pretty good way of organizing things. Now here we set up preferences, and again the details of this are in the lab. We're just highlighting some of the stuff in this presentation for you. And this lab exercise, we now have MP3, so we're going to set our extraction output for MP3. And also very important, if you notice the music, if you notice the music folder location, is our music folder, and if we use our music folder by default, later on we're going to see Rhythmbox knows where to look for our files. So that's all done for a reason. In our home folder we should have a music folder that was created for us as part of the installation. You can always pick a different folder and point everything to that folder if you want. But very interesting here is the track names. This is how it's organized. If you notice, it says album, album artist, and album title, and then the file name with a number in front of it. So as you extract it, you're going to get a hierarchy of files organized under your music folder. And I believe in the next slide we show that. Here you go. You see we have music. I extracted a Pink Floyd CD I have. So you have music, then Pink Floyd, because that's the album artist. And then we have the titles right under that. We have Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. See that? It's a hierarchy. So it goes by the artist, then by the album, then the songs are all listed under there. And you can arrange this differently if you like. This is the default setting. We suggest you leave it at that to start. But you can rearrange this so your files are ripped from the CD into this organized hierarchy in your music library on your workstation. It uses the metadata from the extracted MP3 files to fill these in and make this hierarchy for us. So it's all somewhat automatic. It works fairly well. You can experiment with it if you like. The default settings tend to work quite well, so I usually leave mine at that. Now once we have finished this lab, move on to the next lab, we're going to show you how to play your newly extracted music library using the Rhythmbox. The Rhythmbox now, besides playing your own music library that you have created, you also have access to 3 online music stores where you can purchase music from. Some music is free on some of these stores, some you pay for. There's Jamundo, there's Magnatune, and the Ubuntu One Store. And these are all similar in operation to iTunes. I like them a little better. They're more free open source oriented. iTunes didn't want to play with Ubuntu and Linux, so we had to go ahead and make our own. So Rhythmbox can connect to these music stores. The Ubuntu one is the newer, more popular one, but certainly worth looking at the other ones as well, the predecessors. By default, as we said, our music folder is assumed to be the library location. If you've just extracted those music files in the previous lab and you select your playlist recently added, you should see them here in your music folder. And you can play a song. To play a song, just double click on that song. You should see this little bar start to move, showing there's some play action now. Of course, things don't always work right the first time. If you're new to this, you may have to do a little tweaking and adjusting. First of all, make sure your speakers are hooked up to the correct port on your PC. Then there's also a volume control. In the upper right hand corner of Rhythmbox, we see a volume control. And then we also have we click on that, we see a slider, and make sure that is not turned all the way down or muted. If you still do not hear any sound, then you can go to your desktop volume control here, and you can check that to make sure that's not turned down. You also have a link here to your sound preferences. You click on this here, sound preferences, will open up a dialog for you to adjust your sound card. Still have no sound? If you click that sound preferences and this the dialog that opens up, first check hardware, make sure you do show a sound card there and that it is your sound card. You can check input, see if your microphone is working, if you have a microphone plugged into it. You could click the output, select your output. Normally you want this analog output depending on what you have, okay? You can also check if there's an applications tab if you're playing a song in Rhythmbox and you go to your sound preferences and application, you should see Rhythmbox showing up there, and the volume should be turned up for that, and it should not be muted. If you still don't have sound, double check the hardware tab. Make sure you don't have the wrong sound device connected. Sometimes you have more than one sound card. In this case, we also select how we have the sound card used. Settings for the output. You can choose the output here. Make sure you have the right setting chosen there. You can try a few more. You can't hurt anything. Try a few different settings till you hear some sound. You can't break it, trust me. Okay. You can also go to the sound effects tab, and if you click on these, you should hear some sound coming out of your speaker, providing your alert volume is not turned all the way down. Are you using headphones or speakers? Okay, it's a silly thing. Your sound output may be turned off on the speakers and on the headphones, so make sure that is set correctly. And here's an example. I happen to have a USB headset, and I plug that in, and now I have two sound cards, so that means there's a choice of which one the sound is going to go out of, and it's very easy to have the wrong one selected. So that's something else that you need to check if you're not hearing the sound on your system. And once you've gotten through all that and checked that out, enjoy your musical selections. They're yours, especially if you own the CD. You have every right to rip it to your computer and to listen to them there. The last lab in this chapter, we show you how to use the Totem music player. The Totem video player, movie player. And this here, we give you two clips to download. Now one, if you look at the size, first of all, you can see one is only 332 kilobits and the other is 14.6 megabits. So there's going to be a definite difference in resolution and quality. And we do this deliberately so you can see the difference in video quality to give you an initial understanding of this. Basically, it comes down to the more bits, the higher the quality. So it's the same content in two different formats. One happens to be an OGV, which is native to Linux, and the other happens to be a MOV file, a QuickTime. And I'm not saying that OGB is less quality than MOV. We just happen to encode these this way to make the illustration and to show you two different types of video clips. File size is directly related to resolution. If you look at the size of the files in your Nautilus file browser, you can see one is definitely a larger file than the other. That's going to show in the quality. Here's the side-by-side. You can see on the left is the lower resolution. You can actually see the pixelization in the sky as it goes to different shades of gray. It has not as many steps, not as many discrete levels. On this side here, you can see it's much clearer because it's a higher resolution video. We get what we pay for in bits or pennies. Either way, you get what you pay for. Occasionally, you may find a codec plugin may be required by the movie player. When you go to play something, you may get this little message: search for a suitable plugin. It's perfectly safe to let it search. It's going to look and it's going to find most likely one of the gstreamer plugins that you don't have installed. Generally, you're going to end up having the good, the bad, and the ugly installed. It's up to you if you want to install them all to get-go or install them as you need them. You can confirm the installation. And once it's installed, you click the OK, and then your video should play for you just fine. So you can enjoy your videos. Now, there are many music players and videos available through the Ubuntu Software Center. It's up to you to decide which one you want to try. And coming soon in 2013, we're going to have the Vidiots Guide to Ubuntu Media using Ubuntu Studio. And this will be an in-depth guide if you're into doing video production and recording. This is a good place to start. We'll cover a basic introduction to digital audio and video concepts, how to capture and edit video, basic FFmpeg transcoding techniques, and also how to stream video and more. This is an interesting course. I'm looking forward to actually putting this one together. I've done a few pieces of it already, but I have more to do. This is coming in 2013. We hope that you have enjoyed this presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again. Portions of this program were pre-recorded.